Hi, I have in front of me here a 30 metre HDMI over CAT5 with IR, and this basically runs on two CAT5 cables. The purpose of this is to come along and take the output from a HDMI input, we'll say from a set-top box, convert it into two CAT5 cables, run it on a distance of up to 32 metres, convert it back to HDMI and be able to run that output to a remote television. It supports IR, which means that we can have a remote control in the remote location and actually send the signal back to the box in the reverse direction to actually allow us to change the channels from the remote location. So what I'm going to do in this video is we're going to do it in three parts. I'm going to give an overview of exactly what comes in the outer set-top box. I am going to go into a little bit of detail about the particular units themselves, and then I'll come along and we will actually give a demonstration of this unit working, which you can actually see here in front of us. Okay, just a little HD satellite box and running directly into a TV. So let's come along and look here. We have a set-top box. We have the outer box here, and inside of that comes an instruction manual. It's in English, just some graphics shows the main setup on it. We have a 3-pin power unit. It's 5 volts and 1 amp. And we have two sensors. One is marked for the transmitter, one's for the receiver. One is basically to take the control signal from the remote control and send it to the set-top box, which it's placed directly in front of. And then finally we're going to come along here and I'm going to discuss these two units here. One's a transmitter, it's marked TX, and the other is receiving, it's marked RX. Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm actually just going to come to the front of the table and we'll just go through a little bit of detail on this, okay? So I'm just going to rotate this around to give it an easier display. So the scenario we have, as much as we have set up here, we have a set-top box with a HDMI output. We take the HDMI lead from it, we run it into the HDMI source, okay? In its pure setup, we don't really need to use the IR sensor. Sometimes we just need to run a picture and we don't need to control it remotely. So that's an optional extra we'll describe at this point. On top of the unit here, we have two lights. These lights will come on once we've completed a circuit from the transmitter to receiver unit via the CAT5 cable. So we'll display that in a few minutes in the actual working function here. So we've got our HDMI signal and now we're going to run it via two CAT5 cables to the remote location. Now you can achieve this now with modern technology on a single one, but with the two-way one here, it's just a lower cost, and if you have two CAT5 cables to use these units, it'll work absolutely fine for you. So what we do is we just run these cables directly in here, and 1 goes to 1 and 2 goes to 2, and because they're facing each other, it'll actually mean a crossover type wire if we saw how it ran, but it'll work perfectly there. And once again, there's two LED lights here. Vitally, we'll say on the receiver end, we have a power unit. So this is where we use a 5 volt power unit. Now on the transmitter end, it's taking its power directly off the box, and on runs of 30 millimeters that actually works fine. And what we have here is a HDMI output which we can run to our television, which we've done again in our display. If we wanted it, we could actually run in and use IR sensors at this point. So we see marked in the bottom of this one is RX. So this is the receiver IR. So what we do is we'd aim a remote control directly at this. It'll run the signal back through the CAT5 cables, and it pops out on the far end, and we can put this directly in front of our set-top box, and then what it does is it just feeds that signal directly into the set-top box and allows us to change channels remotely. So on the channel that we have over here, the setup we have our set-top box, which is this very small, compact, high-definition receiver in this case, and we have two inputs coming in here. Okay? So we have HDMI input here, and we have an output, which is the sensor here, which would allow us to remotely control it. Once again, that's optional. It's only important if we actually want to control it remotely. And we'll see we have two LED lights lighting up here. But if we come along and remove one of these, we'll see the picture disappears. One of the lights goes off. And remove the second one here. We'll see one is showing power and the other is showing that we have a connection at both ends. So regardless of which of these is disconnected, it's always this first S1 light that turns off. And indeed on the far end, by removing this light here, one of the lights on the far end will go. I'll actually just demonstrate that for a moment. The picture's gone here. We can see here, we just have one LED light here. But if I actually come along and plug this back in, this is a quick demonstration. We'll see the second LED light comes on, plus we'll say the picture comes back on the screen most importantly. If I picked up this remote control here and aimed it at this sensor, it'll allow us actually just to press on it, to feed the signal through, and it allows us actually to change channels on this box here. So this is a product we've stocked for quite some time. It's proved to be very, very popular. It works extremely well. The reason why we would use this, we'll say, rather than running it on a CAT, or we'll say a HDMI cable, is twofold, or threefold really. Number one is, if we're retrospectively running the cable, to run CAT5s is much quicker and easier than to try to run a HDMI cable, particularly as the connectors on the end. You can run a CAT5 cable straight. Secondly, in a huge number of situations now, people are wiring their house with CAT5, so often there's CAT5 cables there that are spare that are able to do this, and that works extremely well. And the final point is that you're able to do IR on it over long distances, so it means you're able to, we'll say, 30 meters away, you can actually change channels, all the rest of it, and that is a very, very handy feature, because often people not alone want to see the picture, but you also want to be able to change channels as well. So that's it anyway, an overview of the HDMI over CAT5 using two cables, 30 meter range, and supports IR.